Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video, and welcome to my NFL 2017 Week 6 game recap between the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles Thursday Night Football ended up picking up the win against the Panthers 28-23 in a turnover-riddled game for the Panthers. Very poor offensive line play, defense. They lose their captain Luke Kuechly. But let's get into it. Some coaching decisions, questionable coaching decisions, to put it lightly. Start with the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz, 16 of 30, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Those touchdowns, a couple of those touchdowns came on short fields. He obviously outplayed Cam because he didn't have the turnovers, despite the pressure really being on him. He did have the fumble. He didn't throw any picks. But, he played better than Cam. But people will look at the three touchdowns and be like, oh, he played amazing. Not necessarily when your defense really helping you out getting you shorter fields. Philadelphia Eagles rushing game, which was better than Carolina's. LeGarrette Blount, 14 carries, 67 yards. Carson Wentz, 6 carries, 25. K'Jon Barner, 5 carries, 7. Corey Clement, 2 carries for 2 yards. Total of 27 carries, 101 yards. Not great, 3.7 average per carry, but at least they were able to, get other, it wasn't great. It was all running by committee, and I don't think that neither team really ran the ball effectively outside of, one guy, LeGarrette Blount for the Eagles and Cam Newton for the Panthers, who's your quarterback, by the way. Moving on, Philadelphia Eagles receiving: Alshon Jeffrey, 4 receptions, 71. Nelson Aguilar, 4 receptions, 55, and a touchdown. Matt Hollins, 2 receptions, 38. Zach Ertz, 2 receptions, 18, and 2 touchdowns. Marcus Johnson, 1 reception, 16. K'Jon Barner, 1 reception for 9. Trey Burton, 1 reception for 9. Torrey Smith, 1 reception for 6. Now, looking at the defense, obviously you can talk about the guys who had the interceptions. Rasul Douglas, Jalen Mills, Patrick Robinson. A couple of these guys, man. I know the last pick Cam threw. I can't remember exactly which one of these guys it was to. Cam just threw it down the field, and the guy was pretty much the receiver. Or another one where the ball, Cam gets pressure in his face, the ball gets tipped up, easy pick. So these guys kind of got helped out a lot by their front seven. Their front seven was great. Fletcher Cox. A lot of stuff won't show up in the stat sheet, but those guys up front were really good. But, pointing out some of the linebackers, Michael Kendricks was everywhere. He had 17 tackles. 17 tackles. Nigel Bradham, he had 10 tackles. He was good against the pass. These guys were sure tacklers in this game for the most part. And they really stepped up at the end of the game when, they really needed to. So I would say definitely that front seven. That front seven created a lot. They created those turnovers. They created those picks Cam through. So they should get a lot of credit. Also against the run, Carolina's run game was shut down. It was completely shut down. The numbers are skewed by the numbers Cam had, but it was completely shut down by the Eagles defense, who's number 2 against the run for good reason. To show why in this game they are number 2. But moving over to the Carolina side, Cam Newton, 28 of 52, threw the ball way too much. 52 times. The offensive line isn't that good. I've given them credit, these last couple of weeks where they've blocked better, but they're not good. And they have injuries. They have injuries in that offensive line. Ryan Khalil. He was 20 of 52, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Now, I would say it was bad offensive line play where, Fletcher Cox pushed the center right into Cam. The ball gets tipped up. Can't really blame Cam for that. Mainly the offensive lineman for getting destroyed like that. But other 2 picks, especially the last one, Cam just throws it down the field. There wasn't pressure, but he just throws it down the field without even giving his receiver a chance at the ball. So Cam had 3 picks. Looking over at rushing, Cam Newton, 11 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. he was the running game. Curtis Samuel, I'm just going to talk about some other guys who carried the ball. Curtis Samuel, 1 carry for 8. Christian McCaffrey, 4 carries for 8. Fozzie Whitaker, who got hurt on that play, 1 carry for -3. Jonathan Stewart, who's their leading rusher this season on the team, 8 carries, -4 yards. And the Panthers were very predictable running the ball on first down. I don't know Rivera, Shula, who's calling this, but they're very predictable in this game running the ball. And the Eagles probably were surprised, like, okay, these guys are running it every time on first down, so we're going to stack the box every time on first down. And the Panthers still run the ball. No adjustments. Where's the offensive coordinator telling you have to change that play? They got guys in the box. They're going to probably stop the run. I don't get it. But moving on, Carolina receiving, Kelvin Benjamin, 9 receptions, 99 yards. He played well. Christian McCaffrey, 10 receptions, 56 yards. He played well. He also had Cam's lone passing touchdown. Devin Funchess, 3 carries, 36 yards. Ed Dixon, 4 receptions. I said carries. He had 3 receptions, 36 yards. Ed Dixon, 4 receptions, 36. Russell Shepard, 2 receptions for 12. So, for those old Kelvin Benjamin, Christian McCaffrey, they played well. Cam had some accuracy issues in this game. And also the offensive line, they weren't that good. They didn't play that good. And a lot of it is Cam will sometimes run around, and offensive linemen don't know where he's at, so they'll block a defender into him. Partially is Cam, because he always runs backwards like an idiot. I really can't stand when he does that. But you can't hold the ball. So it has to be quicker drops. The ball has to be gone. I think, at times they did a good job, but it was some questionable play calling at the end of the game where instead of trying to get the first down, trying to work your way down the field, they make 2 pass plays on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. I don't get it. But looking at defense, I'll say the front 4, especially early on, played well. Front 4 played well. They would get some pressure on the quarterback. They were the line in the front 7. They were dialing up some nice blitzes. Thomas Davis he was able to get some pressure on the quarterback, able to get some hits. Same with Luke Kuechly, able to get some pressure. Julius Peppers early in the game got a sack strip fumble and recovery. I don't think he recovered it. It was Cameron Short that recovered it. But I felt as though the front 4 they were able to get pressure. But once Luke Kuechly went down, really, he's the captain of that defense. He's the captain of the defense. Also, the offense didn't really help. Turning the ball over, putting a good Eagles offense, in good position to score points. You can't expect the defense, even a good one, to really be able to stop a team like that when they're put in a good position like that. But I think the front 4 played well. I think on the back end, Mike Adams was trash. Zach Ertz, his lone 2 touchdowns, his lone 2 receptions were touchdowns against Mike Adams. Mike Adams sucks in pass coverage. Dude's an older player. Darryl Worley, trash. I don't understand how they keep playing this guy. He's a bum. So you can see they still having problems in the secondary. I felt as though defensively they were able to get hits. They were able to, make Wentz make some really errant throws. He was throwing the ball high. He was inaccurate just because of pressure. He was getting hit. And they usually, each one of these games you look at, maybe outside the Saints game, they've done a good job of getting pressure on the quarterback. That hasn't been a problem. They're one of the top sack teams in football. Pressure hasn't been a problem with the team. It's really been, once that pressure starts to slow down, can your guys in the secondary cover? And guys like Worley, he's not been able to cover. When Kurt Coleman was in there, has not been able to cover. Mike Adams has not been able to cover. Shaq Thompson, I like Shaq Thompson, but he hasn't really been able to cover these tight ends. He covered these slot receivers. That's the problem. The problem is when they're not getting to the quarterback, can the secondary help out and stay with their man? and it just really hasn't happened. And that's why teams have gotten leads on the Panthers, or mainly came back. You know, you look at the last couple of games, and you kind of saw it in this one. Once the pass rush started to slow down, Carson Wentz was able to move the ball through the air. And despite all of this, Carolina still only lost by 5 points. So I can look at it like that because I felt as though the offense wasn't great. Rushing attack wasn't great. The pass blocking wasn't great. Cam Newton wasn't good outside of with his feet. The receivers, I felt as though Christian McCaffrey definitely played well in terms of receiving. Defensively, Luke Kuechly's injury was huge. It was huge in that second quarter, him going out with concussion. But despite how poorly they played, they played in this game. They only lost by 5 with multiple chances to win and a bunch of turnovers. But to keep looking at some of the other stats, looking at team stats, time possession, Philadelphia 28 minutes 34 seconds, Carolina 31 minutes 26 seconds, which pretty close. Third down efficiency, both teams weren't good. Eagles were 5-14, Carolina was 4-16. Looking at penalties, the Eagles had 10 penalties, 126 yards, so that kind of held the Panthers. It kind of looked like how the Panthers did last year. So the Eagles didn't have a completely clean game, but the Carolina turnovers really helped them out, helped them really get into the end zone for the most part, giving the offense short fields. Carolina only had 1 penalty for 1 yard. Turnovers, Philly had 1, which is the Carson Wentz fumble where you got sacked by Julius Peppers. And for Carolina, they had 3, which was all 3 of Cam Newton's picks, which can't blame him for all of them. But he had a crucial one on a play that just shouldn't have been made. So it's the questionable play calling, the bad clock management. You're on 4th and 1. You're going for it. Why are you calling a timeout to burn you burning a timeout at the end of the half? Instead of attempting the 58-yard, your guy misses it. So what? End of the half, whatever. He doesn't even try. He just gets Cam Newton to throw a pass down the field. I don't understand why you give Gano has a big leg. Always question his accuracy as a kicker. He's played well this season. Give him a chance. 58-yarder. The Eagles kicker made a 61-yarder. They trust their guy. What's up? Carolina's not going to trust. You're not going to trust your guy. At the end of the half, you have nothing to lose. You're getting the ball back at the beginning of the half. And that would have been a nice way to go into halftime with some points. You're on third and end of the game. You're on 3rd and 1. You take forever to get to the ball. You don't run it, because when you're doing a hurry up offense, it's always a good idea to run the ball because the defending team is probably out of position. Cam was running the ball well. You don't run with Cam. You don't run with McCaffrey. 2 passes, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 2 incompletions. Ridiculous. And it all goes to play calling. Now, I'm not going to make any excuses for the offensive line of Cam. They were bad, so they got to come in next week and they have to play a lot better. I believe they have. I want to say they have the Bears. I have to look at the schedule. I want to say they have the Bears next week. Let me be sure about that. Yes, they have the Bears next week. So it's a game they need to bounce back in. But in this game, they just didn't play well. They played a good Eagles team. They stayed in the game despite the mistakes. And it really came down to the wire, and they just couldn't make the plays. But if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.